Big topic today, everyone. We're going to be talking all about how to stop stress and anxiety. Because having experienced both, I can tell you one thing, it is no fun. It can be truly crippling and keep you from becoming the better version of yourself. I used to be such an anxious person. I would stress out about the smallest and the most random things that sometimes it would even feel like it was eating me up from inside. And you know what? Sometimes it would go beyond being just a feeling. I would feel it in my stomach, I would feel a lump in my throat, I would feel my chest tightening, my heart rate going up. I would be physically suffering from it. But you know what? With time and as I got to know myself better and seek help, I have found a lot of different ways to help me cope with anxiety and stress better. And today I wanted to share with you all my tools that have truly helped me in the hopes that they can help you too. Let's get into it. Identify your stresses. In order for you to solve a problem, first you need to know where it is coming from. It's like when you are sick, right? You cannot just take any type of medication. You need to first know what you are suffering from, and then you can better tackle the problem. It's kind of the same when it comes to stress and anxiety, and I know sometimes there is more than one thing disturbing your peace, but you need to take a minute and identify what the sources of your stresses and anxieties are. And once you know where they're coming from, you are ready to take action. However, when it comes to stress and anxiety, I feel like there are two different types. The first one is all the things that you can change, and the second type is all the things that you cannot change that are beyond your control. So then coming back to your list, you just need to classify your stresses and anxieties into those two categories, okay? The first category, which are the things that are within your control, well, I feel like it's quite easy because all you need is make a plan and start tackling them one by one. However, when it comes to the things that are beyond your control, then that's when things get a bit more tricky. Because you need to understand one thing, no matter how much you stress about those, well, chances are the outcome is not going to change. And I know this is so much easier said than done, but whenever it is possible, you need to find the strength to kind of surrender and let go. Once again, no matter how much you are stressing about that topic, it is not going to change anything about it. It's definitely hard to hear, but it is the truth. For instance, let's say that you are looking for a job. You've done your first interview and now you're waiting for them to come back to you either for a second interview or to get the final answer. No matter how much you stress in between, it's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to change whether or not you're going to be accepted for this job. Whatever has been done, and now it's time for you to move on and just surrender. In the end, it is not up to you anymore, and you just need to accept that. And obviously, I know that I just took the example of an interview, which may sound so trivial for you right now if you are having stress about much bigger things in life. Maybe right now you are stressed out about a loved one that is quite sick, and although there is nothing you can personally do to make things better, then, for you to be in that state of stress is completely normal, and you need to accept that as well. My point is, whenever you are facing stresses and you know that it is not really something that you can change on your end, and it is not really life or death, then you need to find the strength to move on and let go and surrender. Stop procrastinating. I think we don't realize how much stress comes from procrastinating alone. So what happens is we found ourselves with tasks that we just don't want to do or things we don't want to do that are just piling up in the back of our mind to the point where it becomes a real source of stress. But the good news is I think this is the easiest type of stress to eliminate because all you need to do is put your big girl pants on and just do it. Those tasks could be as small as a call you need to do to your banker, or maybe a presentation that you need to finish before a certain date. And for some reason, they feel so big in our mind that we actually just push it away. However, just by knowing the space that it is taking in my mind and how much peace I will feel when I am done with it is a big motivator for me to just do it. As they say, sometimes you need to just eat the frog and be done with it. Personally, on the days that I feel a bit overwhelmed or stressed because of tasks that I'm just procrastinating on, I'll just make a list of everything that can be done right now, and I'll dedicate a couple of hours every morning to get through them. And believe me, the minute that you start working on those tasks, you're going to be feeling so much peace of mind. Change of perspective. Sometimes what may seem like such a big deal is actually a very small and trivial matter. All you need is a change of perspective. What I like to do is kind of fast forward to when I'm 80 or 90 years old and look back on my life right now and think about how the stress or anxiety that I am experiencing in this moment right now, if it's actually going to matter in 50 years' time. And what I've realized is that very often the topic of my stresses or anxiety feel very insignificant with this change of perspective. I think we just tend to be so wrapped up in our day-to-day that we lose perspective of how things are actually going to impact us in the long run. Chances are this little deadline that you're stressing about or whatever drama you have going on in your life right now is actually not going to matter in 50 years' time. You might not even have memory of it. Side note, I actually really like to use this concept in my life in general because I feel like it gives you a very good idea of where you should be putting your time and energy in order to shape your life afterwards, you know? At the end of the day, I want to be able to look back on my life and be satisfied that I actually put my energy towards the things that truly matter to me. Switch to a gratitude mindset. As humans, we are so wired to always be noticing everything that is annoying to us and everything that we lack of, instead of noticing all the blessings that are actually coming our way. I have realized that switching to a gratitude mindset has really helped me kind of like stop being so stressed about all the things that I don't have yet and all the things that I want, and kind of focus on all the great things that are in my life at this time. Especially now with social media, we are really exposed to seeing all those people living their lives, and I feel like it's only natural for us to have some envy towards the things that we're seeing and to kind of be stressed about if ever we are going to be able to experience that or to have those things in our lives one day. However, I think it's a bit sad because by doing that, we are being oblivious to all the beautiful things and blessings that are happening to us. Switching to a gratitude mindset has really helped me switch from a scarcity mindset to a more abundant one, where I feel more fulfilled and I feel less stressed and anxious about all the things that I don't have anymore, because I know and I have faith that anything that I deserve will come my way. Take a deep breath. So the two following techniques that I'm going to be talking about are things that you can do that will be effective immediately to help you cope with stress and anxiety. What I have actually realized is that whenever I am feeling stressed or anxious, my breathing is very shallow. What I mean by that is that I would only breathe until my throat or maybe my chest. It never goes all the way to my stomach. But here's the thing, shallow breathing is actually going to trigger more stress in you. When you breathe very shallow, your heartbeat goes up. And when your heart rate is up, you will feel more stressed, and this stress will cause you to do even more shallow breathing. You see where I'm going there. So one way to disrupt this pattern is to do deep breathing exercises. And when I say deep breathing is basically when you feel your breath go as deep as your stomach. In the beginning, I actually recommend that you use your hand and you put it on your stomach when you're doing your deep breathing exercises, because you need to feel the air entering your body and you need to feel your stomach rise from your inhale before exhaling. Sometimes only 3 deep breaths might do the trick, and you'll notice your heart rate go down, and that will help you kind of like regroup to be able to cope with your stress and anxiety. I personally love this tip so much because first of all, it takes 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, and it is so easy to do. You don't really need any, crazy skill or equipment, and yet it's going to provide you with so much relief. Whether or not I am feeling overwhelmed, one thing that I am working on right now is becoming more aware of my breathing and implementing more of those deep breathing exercises throughout my days, just because of how great great it makes me feel. But also, I just feel like, it's something that we forgot how to do, we forgot how to breathe. And this might be the cause of a lot of like anxiety and unnecessary kind of like overwhelming feelings. So I also encourage you from time to time during your day, just take 5 minutes and shift your focus to your breathing and take a deep breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The next one is a grounding technique that is really helpful, especially for anxiety. It is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, and it is really handy when you find yourself spiraling about something and just like really, really anxious. It brings you back to the moment and grounds you. So it goes as follows. First of all, you're going to identify 5 things that you see and you're going to really describe them in your mind. Next, you're going to identify 4 things that you can or you could touch. Just in case you're not able to move around and touch things, just try to identify 4 things that have different textures and imagine what it would feel like if you could lay your hands on them. Next, you want to identify 3 things that you can hear right now. Maybe it's the birds chirping outside, maybe it's the, rumbling of your AC that's going on in the background, maybe it's the car that is just like passing by on your street. Then you're going to try to identify 2 things that you can smell right now. And finally, 1 thing that you can taste. And if you cannot taste anything right now, just imagine, being able to taste something that you see. How would it feel? I love this exercise so much because, for the lack of a better word, it grounds me back in the present where I am right now, because a lot of times what I have realized is that my anxieties kind of are linked to a future that does not exist yet, and yet they are able to send me down a spiral on something that has not happened yet, that maybe will never happen. And so this exercise really helps me snap out of my anxieties and brings me back to the present. And whether or not you're able to move around to actually touch and feel all those things, I think it's still an exercise that you can do while being seated by just imagining how they would feel, how they would smell and taste like. Let it out. The next tip that I have for you in regards to stress and anxiety is to let it out in some way or another. What I have found is that stress or anxiety are really pent up energy stored within your body. So having an outlet to just let it out can be really helpful. Personally, I love to use movement to let go of my stresses and anxieties, whether it is going on a walk or doing yoga to kind of like, work more on my deep breathing, or even something as explosive as running or playing paddle really helps me, because I feel like I am evacuating a little bit of that pent-up energy in my body and just letting it go all out. And I find that it really relieves me and it makes me feel so much lighter afterwards. But really, it could be anything. I know some people who find relief by doing some painting or any sort of creative work. It can work just as well. Another reason why I really feel like movement or something like painting could really help a lot when it comes to stress and anxiety is because when you are engaging in those activities, whatever they may be, well, you're very in the moment, right? Because you are so focused in that sport that you're playing or this art that you're creating that it detaches you from your stresses and anxiety, and it puts you kind of in a trance mode or like in a meditative state that truly helps. Talk about it. This one is very obvious, but somehow I feel like we forget to do it whenever we're feeling overwhelmed, and it's just about talking it out with someone that you trust, whether it is your loved one, your closest friends, or even a therapist. Having someone to listen to you in those moments where you're feeling very overwhelmed about something is very soothing, because first of all, you're letting it out, you're getting it off your chest, and just that is very helpful. And second of all, well, sometimes all you need is kind of like a change of perspective and seeing things from a different point of view. A lot of times when we are so much in our heads and we just feel stuck about a specific topic, when we talk it out with someone, they might have a very different approach to that problem that could be very insightful and helpful for you. I personally have different people in my toolbox with whom I would talk about different topics. So for instance, anything that is very general in life, I'm going to talk about it to my husband. Anything that is relationship or career oriented, I'm going to talk about it to my best friends. And anything that is more like family or just topics where I feel like someone that knows my history is going to be more helpful, then I'm going to talk about it to my sister or my cousin. So I would say, taking the time to identify those people that could be really good at supporting you in those time of needs is very helpful down the line. So you want to look out for people that are going to make you feel very comforted, that are going to create the safe space for you to express yourself freely, people where you won't feel any judgment, people that you trust, and also people that have your best interest at heart. It can be really anyone. And if you don't happen to have this type of people around you, that's where talking to a therapist can be really, really helpful, because they are trained for that. They are professional in that field. So why not use them? And if you're lucky enough to have those people around you that are able to support you in those type of needs, then you want to also be part of their support system. Not only to return the favor, but because it is such a beautiful thing to be able to be here for the people that love you and that you love so much. The happy days comparison. The next tip does not only apply to days where you are stressed or anxious, it can also apply to days where you are feeling very overwhelmed, burnout, or depressed. I learned this tip from the Mel Robbins show, and I love her podcast so much because there's always some real, concrete tips and actions that you can take to improve your life. Anyways, the tip is basically where you are going to compare your days right now, you going through this rough moment, to a time where you were really, really happy. So it would go like this. You would take a blank page and draw a line in the middle. So you have two columns. The first column is your happy days, and the second one is life as it is right now. So you're going to describe those two in as many details as you can. What I mean by that is you're going to think back of a time in your life when you were truly happy, and try to think back of how your days looked like back then, from the minute that you woke up to the time that you would go back to sleep. I want you to really list out everything that you would do during that day, what activities, who you would meet, and also the type of foods that you would eat, and then do the same for life as it is right now. And what you're going to see is the gap between the happy days and right now. So for instance, let's say during your happy days you had a beautiful morning routine where you would wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, you would meditate, you would do some reading, and then get ready to go to work. And then you would go to work, have lunch with friends maybe. After work, you would maybe hang out or do some sort of activity, and then come back home to wind down before you would go to sleep, okay? And then life as it is right now is you've skipped your morning routine, you're probably not eating the right foods, you're probably not seeing, as many people as you were before, and you're probably not working out. Just doing this very quick exercise is going to give you actionable tips and clues on what you should be working on right now to make you feel happier and much lighter. Journal. The next tip is related to my previous points, and it is journaling. I actually just did a video on how to journal and how journaling has changed my life. When I think about, me before journaling, it would be like I would feel like I would always walk around with this dark cloud hovering over my head, and I would always be stressing about something for no reason at all. And journaling has helped me in many different ways. First of all, it's helped me kind of let it out, just writing it all out to clear my mind. Second, it has helped me identify the source of my stresses and then be able to take better actions towards them. But also it's helped me kind of like put things back into perspective and realize that some things are not really big deals and I should not really be stressing or being anxious about them. But I know that it is not for everyone, because maybe you do not see yourself sitting down and just writing paragraphs about how you're feeling and what you're thinking right now. But just don't write it off now. At least give it a try, because it is so helpful. Coming back to my personal experience, I can definitely pinpoint times in my life where I've been very strict and serious with my journaling, and times in my life where I've just like not made it a priority. And there is a big correlation between my happiness levels and my journaling frequency. So now I really use it as a big incentive for me to journal at least a few times a week, because the peace of mind and the lightness that it brings me is really priceless. Alright, that is it for my video on how to stop stress and anxiety. From a personal experience, I know that stress and anxiety are very much real, and that if you do not take actions towards them, unfortunately, it's going to take over your life. You're going to be finding yourself walking around with this dark cloud hovering over your head, snatching away any sort of happiness and light coming in your life. And that is not how you want to live. Unfortunately, I feel like stress and anxieties are more and more common now, but the good news is if you're watching this, that means you're already aware of how it might be affecting you, and you are ready to take actions. I talked about this very briefly in the video, but having the help of a therapist might really help you deal with your stress and anxieties in a much more productive way. And now it's such a great thing that there's less taboo around it, but also it is so much more accessible and available. There are so many ways where you can get a therapist's help, so definitely try it out, because it could be life-changing. Anyways, I really hope that this video is going to help you in one way or another. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I will see you soon for another video.